What's up guys, Spin Firearms here, and today we're going to be talking about the Springfield Armory Prodigy. Now this right here is the 3.5 barrel compact edition. Now if you guys know me, my main carry is a Glock 27. This is my favorite handgun. I don't care how ugly people say it looks. I don't care if people say it's in 40. I don't care what anyone says about it. It's Old Faithful. It's reliable. It's a beast. It just keeps running and running and running and running. I can shapeshift it to whatever size I want. And it's just been a great handgun for me. And the best part about it is you can get a used Glock 27. They're online right now for $350 used. I even got one for $275. I've gotten one for $300. My buddy just picked one up for $250. You can find used Glock 27s like crazy, as they're all police trade-ins, right? On top of that, I really like the Hellcat. I like the fact that it can shapeshift. I like the capacity that you can get all the way to 17 rounds. I like how small it is. You can potentially pocket carry it with the flush mag and no optic. And it's just Old Faithful, once again, just reliable as can be. And once again, you can find these for about $500. If you get them during the Gear Up package, you can get like 5 mags with it for $500. Well, the Springfield Armory Prodigy is one of my most expensive handguns from the factory, right? Before any additions, any optics, anything like that I add to it. It's just more expensive. To me, that's one of the things that makes it harder for me to want to carry. Now, what do I actually think about the Prodigy? One, it's probably the best feeling handgun in the hand that I own. It just feels perfect. And as you can see, I just got back from work. My hands are dry and stuff. It is has such nice texturing. It just grips to my hand. It just locks it in and feels good. So that's a huge part of control. Second, you also have this huge grip, like I talked about, compared to something like a 27, but similar to something like a Hellcat. But it's also wider. So one thing is, it's going to print more if you are printing. But the other thing that I like a lot about it, sorry, stuttered a little bit, is when I go to draw, I get a full grip and some. It's a really ergonomic handgun, like I said, a really nice feel and really clean, even draw. So I really like that about it. That's probably the best part about it, is the ergonomics and drawing it. On top of that, I've gotten so used to Glocks that every time I shoot, they always go right back on target. The Prodigy has the same exact feature, but I would say it's on steroids. Every time you shoot around, it is so flat, it just goes right back. Every single time. You see this little tiny sight picture. Now, what do I mean by that? There are very small margins to the left or to the right of that thing. And every time you shoot, it's just right back on target. Every single time, right back. I know you don't really use sights in self-defense encounters and stuff like that. It's point shooting, you're drawing and just, letting it go from the holster, stuff like that. But if you did have to use this in a, 15, 20, 30 feet away, even up to 50 to 100 feet away, I get that's a long distance for self-defense. But if you had to, this handgun can make that shot and do it with ease and do it with follow-up shots. It is so nice and natural, and it just sits so perfectly in that sight picture. It just sits so perfectly, and then it comes right back every single time. And that has to do with the ergonomics and the way that the handgun is just built. In terms of recoil, there's very little recoil in this thing. Now, do I notice a big difference between something like a Glock 26 and the Prodigy? I do not. I don't feel that big of a difference in recoil. They are all very flat shooting handguns to me. But yes, this is definitely flat as can be. One thing that I find interesting is the Echelon, right, which you can get for about $600. Came out. They're both 15+1. I wish they made the Echelon upper a little bit smaller, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's about a ½ inch longer. But ergonomic as well. But what I will say is I am much faster shooting the Prodigy than I am with the Echelon. So that's another nice part to the Prodigy. It is a much faster shooting handgun than anything else on the table. Even this Kimber, which has an extremely nice trigger on it, the CD S9, 13+1 and 9mm in that setup. But this is just so much faster. Now, is it massively faster? A little bit. I will say that. It is definitely a little bit faster. In self-defense, is it faster? Yes, it definitely will be. This trigger is just absolutely ridiculous. When it goes, it goes. You can literally just let this thing rip. But like I said, it's 2.5, 3 times the cost of the average gun I carry, and that is my biggest reason for not carrying it. Are the margins in speed and accuracy and all that enough to not carry, or to want to carry it more than other stuff? It is not, in my opinion. A handgun like this for me is more of a toy. But my favorite thing about it is it's basically a staccato. It's basically competing directly with staccato, but it's about half the price. Therefore, people who want the 2011 platform have a handgun that can definitely offer something that is relatively competitive for a cheaper price. But in my opinion, a good old Glock 19, Glock 26, Glock 27, they are the pinnacle of self-defense, right? You start throwing an optic on here, you're now sitting around $2,000 and so on. You even have stuff like the Kimmer Mako R7, right? I'd much rather carry that. I mean, let me rephrase that. I don't carry the Carbon Compact, but I'd much rather carry it for the price, is what I mean by that, right? I can get an echelon, or 2 echelons for the price of the Prodigy. Because if you do get in a self-defense encounter in my state, chances are I am not getting my handgun back, and it's just a straight loss, right? And this is going to run you, like I said, half the price, even a little bit more than half the price, right? But the Prodigy, for the average person who wants to run the 2011 platform, you can't beat it. Mag changes are fast as can be, because you have this big, wide opening right here because of this grip that draws your pinky away from it, and just boom, it's on. It's fast, it's quick, it's just a little bit too big for me, right? If you really look at the side of it, it's relatively wide. Now, I get why they do that. Like I said, that plays a huge role in ergonomics and so on. But when you compare it to something like a Hellcat, you can see why the Hellcat would be much more comfortable. Do I like the Prodigy? Yes, this is actually one of my favorite handguns that I own. I love shooting it. I love everything about it. It almost feels like you're cheating in a way. But when it really comes down to self-defense and stuff like that, my goal is not to carry a 2011, because all 2011s, doesn't matter, staccatos, Prodigies, it doesn't matter what brand, are very finicky. Where I can put my Glock with very loose tolerances through any ammunition, any defensive rounds, any hollow points, whatever, and it just runs and runs and runs. I haven't had a single issue with my Prodigy, but at the same time, it's just a 2011. They're just known for having more issues. For instance, I took a couple self-defense courses, and they're more advanced and stuff like that. So you're doing malfunction clearing and stuff like that, and they put empty casings staggered through your mags. And the person with the staccato was the only person in the room that couldn't clear an empty case. And on top of that, it would get stuck in the barrel to the point where we had to grab a jam rod and bang it out of there twice in the middle of the class. And it was actually a pain in the butt. If you want a larger handgun for carry, like I said, something like the Echelon is your perfect go-to. The Echelon is just, it's fast, it's quick, and like I said, the margins aren't big enough to notice the difference in a self-defense encounter. Now, if you're talking about competing and stuff like that, that's where I think you will see the big differences. Even something like the XDM. You can find these now new for like $450, and this thing just rips and is honestly flatter shooting than the 2011 Prodigy. But like I said, Prodigy, great handgun. But this is more of a range toy for me. It's going to go to the range with me almost every single time that I go. And like I said, I love this thing. If I had to rate this handgun, though, I'm going 9.5 out of 10. The one change I would make to this is make it 12+1, and then give us the 15-round mag that you see here with a grip sleeve on it, right? Therefore, you can still get that full grip, and I get why they don't do it. They want you to have faster reloads, nothing in the way, not having to move your pinky out of the way, that whole sort of thing. But that would have been a huge for me for a concealed carry, because I can't always get away with something like this, right? Look at what I'm carrying compared to that, right? And even the Hellcat, you can shrink down. Where's my Hellcat at? You can shrink down to a flush mag if you have to. And even with 15 and 15, the Hellcat's a little bit shorter. But like I said, I love the Prodigy. I think it's one of my favorite handguns out there. Like I said, 9.5 out of 10. Just a beautiful, beautiful shooting handgun. Really like it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you carry a Springfield Armory Prodigy? Thanks for watching, guys.